Representative Stanton from Arizona.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I, too, was at the briefing that you were at, and it sounds like you and I share our disappointment in FEMA staff for pointing the finger at Governor Abbott and blaming Governor Abbott and his team for a late request for urban search and rescue help in this horrible disaster. But, as Mr. Richardson, I'm sure, knows, under federal law, under the National Response Framework, FEMA does not wait for a request from the local government. Under the National Response Framework, federal law requires FEMA to anticipate the needs of states in disasters, to coordinate proactively, and not to wait on the state's request for positioning resources. Mr. Richardson, were you aware that this is federal law for you to act proactively and not to wait for a request from Governor Abbott to pre-position resources?
Thank you for the question, Mr. Stanton. The capability indeed was pre-positioned, and that's why I mentioned Texas Task Force 1. It was pre-positioned in Texas and ready to go. Once again, that's a federally trained, federally equipped, and they were.
Mr. Richardson, I got to cut you because I have a short time. You need to talk to your staff because your staff was pointing the finger at Governor Abbott and say the lack of urban search and rescue proactivity was based upon a late request from the governor's office. My belief, and it sounds like your belief, is that the requirement for you as the FEMA administrator is to anticipate, in light of the weather reports and how bad it was going to be, was to pre-position those urban search and rescue folks in advance. And I believe that FEMA has failed in that mission because there could have been a lot more urban search and rescue there later. They weren't there until 72 hours after the tragic incident. How many times have you met with President Trump since you've assumed this role?
I have not met with President Trump.
How many times have you spoken with President Trump one-on-one in your current capacity?
I correspond with the president on a regular basis.
Where were you on July 4th and July 5th of this year?
On July 4th, I was on vacation.
When did you return from your vacation?
I returned the next day.
So on July 5th, you returned to Washington, D.C.?
I spent the entire vacation in my vehicle speaking on my phone to either the state of Texas or DHS, coordinating for the events in Texas.
Were you on the first plane back to Washington then from your vacation?
I was in my truck with my two boys and myself. I was in my truck. I remained in my truck the whole time.
When did you first learn of Secretary Noem's $100,000 sign-off policy, and did you warn her or anyone at DHS about the potential for delays in FEMA's ability to respond as a result of that policy?
The Secretary signs anything that comes across her desk nearly immediately without undue delay. And I never had a concern about the $100,000 memo, never concerned me. I've never seen it cause any undue delay.
The $100,000 sign-off policy did not delay your ability to proactively put forward resources, urban search and rescue resources in place as soon as you knew about how bad the flood was.
Under President Trump's leadership and Secretary Noem's leadership, their exceptional leadership, the support that was so critical to the people and the state of Texas on their worst day was on target, on time, and that is what they told me. Yeah. That's what the president said. That's what the secretary said. Texas got what they needed when they needed it.
So your lack of visibility in the hours and days and even week after this horrific flood that cost so many lives is shocking. Secretary Noem was very present. You were not. Did President Trump, Secretary Noem, or any official at the White House direct you to stand down during this crisis?
I was in constant communication with the state of Texas, DHS, and the White House, handling the disaster immediately when I found out. And I remained so for the entire time. Constant communication with the emergency manager in the state of Texas, NIMKID, as well as Region 6, as well as communication with the White House and Secretary Noem. I was on full duty, full time.
Mr. Richardson, you were nowhere near Texas at the critical moments in the search and rescue, and you did not even show your face for more than a week after the flood. You are the administrator of this critical agency. You're the leader, but you did not lead as you are required to by federal law. But worse, you seem uninterested to learn what went wrong and how to respond better. Do the victims and survivors in Texas deserve an apology?
What happened in Texas was an absolute tragedy. It's hard to fathom. I went to Texas. I flew over. It was an absolute tragedy. My heart goes out to the people in Texas.
Yeah,
I know that there was...
That was intended as a yes or no question, and I'll appropriately take that as a no. Mr. Chairman, this wasn't just incompetence. It wasn't just indifference. It was both. And that deadly combination likely cost lives. I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired.